the government just comes in and just squares him up on the shoulders and just knees him in the groin and just over and over. Yeah, since you showed me Edison Motors, I've become a member on their YouTube. I've commented on like almost everything. I've watched every bit of media they've put out. Edison Motors is doing this technology with semi-trucks.
Did you try to invest?
No.
I know. I thought about it, but you have to be... They make it very difficult. And that's not Edison. That's just the Canadian government doing silly Canadian government things.
Right. Do you know that the Edison Motors vehicle is not clean enough to pass their standards?
Really?
Yeah. So they use a generator designed the size of the pistons, the size of the intake runners. Everything about this thing is designed to run at one single RPM with a small window up or down and to be maximally efficient.
Mm-hmm.
An on-road engine has to be tested through a huge range of loads and RPMs. Generators are not run through all of those different load ratings. Well, in their application, this generator is still going to stay at one solid RPM, and it passes with flying colors every standard it has to pass. To be compliant, this thing passes everything it has to. And they even asked, they said, so if we had like an onboard crane and we put the generator on the ground next to the truck and then used it to charge the truck, then we could sell it? And they're like, yes. And he's like, so if we have the generator on the truck when it charges the truck, we can't sell it. And they're like, exactly. And he's like, so because it's no longer passes emission standards if we pick it up and put it on the truck? They're like, well, then it's considered, it has to pass on-road use for a generator. And what they're going through right now is they're like, there is no standard for an on-road generator. And they are being blocked by the Canadian government because they're, I guess, going to be polluting the environment with their EV truck.
Even though it's way more efficient.
Yes.
Way more environmentally friendly than...
One of their customers that has not, it's sort of like a behind the curtain thing. They have a truck that they're building, but they haven't announced what the truck's going to be for or who's even buying it. But he had him on a video today, and he was like blurred out. And he said he ran the numbers for his business, and he expects a 40 to 50% fuel savings. 40 to 50% in a semi-truck. Not a small semi-truck. This thing is like 40 feet long.
It's like a train.
Yeah.
It's like a train on the road.
40 to 50% fuel savings. And they're like...
That's thousands of dollars every trip.
Every single trip, yeah. He said, by our numbers, we should be buying only these.
That's just a perfect example of regulations placed for supposedly good reasons that end up getting in the way of innovation.
They can get a waiver, like an exception, but that has to pass their basically what is their House of Representatives for just their exception for just them. So to even get one brought in front of anyone that could possibly vote on it will take 2 years. And he's like, we're selling these trucks in months. And he's confident that they're going to get temporary or off-road exceptions for these trucks because they were hit with this unexpectedly. They're like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense whatsoever. Of course we weren't anticipating this. Like, we're still going to deliver trucks on time, but we are working every single day with, and he's like, what else sucks is that the people at this Environment Canada, I think is the name of the department. He's like, every person I've talked to there agrees with me. They're like, yeah, this is nonsense. There's nothing we could do, but it is nonsense. And he's like, nobody there has any amount of power to do anything.
That's crazy.
They can't even grant an exception. They can't grant an exception for the world's most efficient semi-truck.
Thank goodness they have some capital, because another company that doesn't have notoriety or capital, that means they're done. They can't sell products. That means they're out of business.
Right.
And now the world that you could have had with a bunch of these hyper-efficient semi-trucks just doesn't exist now because of bureaucracy.
For the sake of bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm. So lame.
So they're saying, but all these people in their comments are like, we'll just pay to get your generator road certified. And they're like, that would be more than every dollar we have to do that testing. It's so expensive to certify and test anything in Canada that they bought land They bought like 100 and something acres, and they're building their own semi-truck test track
Because it's cheaper than.
because it's cheaper than to get it certified. 100-acre test track with skid pads and like a huge oval. The ground has to be compacted and reinforced to carry the weight because all of their testing has to be done fully loaded.
Yeah.
And they can carry more than a standard semi truck because of certain regulations that are actually working in their favor that time. So they can carry more. So they have to do all of their testing fully loaded, and it's cheaper to buy all the land and build the entire thing.
That could be a potential revenue source.
Right.
Because other companies can test their stuff there, and they could charge
You know what else is
slightly less for it.
so cool is there are local businesses that have a really hard time getting a hold of land capital in Canada for basically almost nothing. Edison is parceling off part of this huge land purchase that they did to these smaller groups. So like one of them is a land moving business, and they need a place to store a lot of equipment. And they're like, well, if you do a lot of earthwork moving for us, here's some land to use. And then there's this other community group of off-road electric go-kart racers, that have nowhere to do what they do. So they just decided, hey, earthworks people, how about you build them a go-kart track, an off-road go-kart track for high schoolers to build their off-road electric go-karts. And they have the expertise of Edison right there. They can just go knock on the door and ask them questions about like what's wrong with whatever electric system. And then they have a track now. All of these high schools can come and use this track for basically free. And there's no regulations around it because there's no oil or gas or anything that could spill. So they're using the land to better their community and push innovation. And then the government just comes in and just squares him up on the shoulders and just knees him in the groin and just over and over. Like what could you imagine the most beneficial company for your country? And you're going to just squeeze them where it hurts.